The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media.
Hi, I am Tatiana, but you can call me Tata. I am so excited to provide you with helpful insights and create a safe, cozy space where you can ask me anything about parenting. Each week, we will spotlight specific parenting topics to help guide you to be the best parent you can be. We are here to support you, help overcome challenges, and have some laughs along the way. With that, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, my beautiful people. This is Tata from the Parenting Experience with my sweet neighbor, Summer Loria. And today we're going to talk about the kind of healing that starts when you stop pretending you are okay. Summer is a licensed marriage and family therapist and the founder of Summertime Therapy. She specializes in guiding women through the hardest transitions, motherhood, marriage, loss, identity, and helping them find peace in the chaos. The episode is for every mom who ever felt invisible, disconnected, or like she lost herself somewhere between the laundry and the love. Today, we are bringing light, language, and healing to the places we don't always talk about. Summer, welcome to the Parenting Experience.
Thank you for having me. I'm
It's
so
an honor.
excited.
Thank you, Mama.
I'm a little nervous too, my first ever podcast, but I'm mostly just excited to talk to you.
I know. Summer, share a little bit and we will touch bases about how Summer Therapy was born, but not me, maybe my audience would like to know what is the biggest struggles mom face nowadays?
Okay, this is a great question to start off with because it is what I talk with clients mostly about on a daily basis, which are daily struggles, the struggles in the transition of motherhood. I think it looks different depending on who I'm speaking with, but there's definitely general themes. I see a lot in loss of identity. That can be the identity of who you were before you were a mom. That can be loss of certain friendships. That can be loss of how your body looks and how your body changes. Daily life and schedule and routine and day to day looks different when you go from a family of 2 to 3 or further transitions, right? 3 to 4 and families grow. So I think it can be from the small day-to-day struggles of when am I going to take a shower? Oh, these pants don't fit the way that they used to. When am I going to be able to see my girlfriends again? To larger themes that I see more predominantly: postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, PTSD from traumatic birth experiences. So it runs the gamut.
Okay.
Lots of struggles.
I love that you touch postpartum depression, and because I think nowadays that it's a theme that not a lot of moms feel free to talk about it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shame that comes with it and taboo. So how do you help the moms that come to your practice and they don't know what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of many reasons, which I know we're going to get into, but one of many reasons why how I found my niche in perinatal mental health was really born out of a need. This is such an underserved and underrepresented population, and a population that really, really needs that support and is sometimes shamed or looked down upon for moms that want to get support. So the minute I meet with somebody, the initial outreach, however they find me, Psychology Today or through insurance, the first contact and communication that we have, I'm always just so grateful to meet with them and so happy that they reached out, because that, no matter who you are, what your background, where you come from, that is the initial most difficult step, is just reaching out and saying I need help. Things are too overwhelming. I don't know what's happening, but I don't feel like myself. So, and many different versions of that. So I think that is one way initially, definitely, to break down some of the stigma, that's the shame and the guilt, is just reaching out and just getting the conversation started. Once we get going in the therapy sessions and we've established our regular meeting time, it kind of depends on what the need is. Definitely postpartum depression, as you mentioned, I see a lot of, and that can sometimes look different for different moms and new parents. I think sometimes if a mom is used to being the one who was able to do it all before, and now do whatever that means, doing it all, right? Quote,
Yeah.
quote. And now they're sleep deprived. Now their eating schedule looks different. Maybe you were somebody who got up at 5 o'clock and went to the gym and then had a yogurt bowl and then, went to your job and then socialized with your friends after. That all probably got upended in early motherhood. So we can certainly, talk more about those like specific skills or tools or reestablishing of routines. But I would say just breaking the stigma around shame, the first step, and what I'm always most proud to see somebody in my virtual office for, is just that they have reached out and they recognize, I need support. I need a little extra help right now.
What are those red flags that a lot of moms come to you and they don't know what they have? It's postpartum depression due to giving birth. What are those, first signals that, they should identify it, after giving birth, that they should consider seeking help?
Yes, great question. So this can fall into a lot of different categories: the physical, the emotional, the cognitive kind of experience of certain signs and symptoms. If you're finding sometimes in bonding, if you're finding that you're having maybe difficulty or trouble bonding with the baby, if I'm going to start with kind of like the more extreme ones. If you're having thoughts about wanting to hurt yourself, or you want to hurt the baby, or maybe you want to hurt your partner, or you want to hurt somebody in line at the grocery store, some of that's normal because people are going to frustrate you at early postpartum. But I'm of course talking more seriously and more extreme. Signs of depression also being, which also this is kind of like hard to parse out sometimes because it does overlap with normal postpartum. But if you're not eating, if you have a loss of appetite, you have loss of interest in hobbies or things that you used to enjoy, or interests and passions that you loved once before, but maybe aren't so interested in those anymore. The clinical term for that is anhedonia, loss of interest. Boring clinical terms we don't need to get into. If you're not showering, if general self-care kind of starts to go by the wayside, that's going to happen also in the postpartum experience anyways, because you have this newborn infant that's highly dependent on you. But when it gets to a point where the symptoms are worsening or are affecting your daily life, interfering with your relationships, and you are finding maybe what you were doing before to support those symptoms, or how you would previously pull yourself up or out, is not working in the same way, that's when I would encourage somebody to reach out for help. If you've exhausted all of your options and supports and you still are feeling let's say, quote, quote, the baby blues, which lasts a couple of weeks postpartum. If you're feeling that 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks postpartum, probably we need a little extra support at that time.
Is it true that a woman that have given birth after a year or 18 months can still suffer from postpartum depression?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are clinical timelines that as providers that we follow, but changes in the experience, changes in your body, changes in your child's development. Maybe you had, again, I'm using a lot of air quotes here. Good thing we're on video so people can see. Maybe you initially had an easy baby and they slept through the night at first, and then they might have the 4-month regression, or their needs change, or their eating habits change. So now at 6 months or 7 months or 8 months, now you're seeing a complete change in their functioning and their development. And in the beginning, maybe you were operating fine in a way that was sufficing and you didn't feel like you needed any additional help. And you being the general person that is listening or that I'm talking to that might need this support, there's no timeline on when you can't reach out for help. I think that's a misconception that I do hear sometimes. I do see a lot of women pretty early postpartum, but have plenty of clients that have toddlers and have multiple children. And I think there's a misconception that we should on ourselves a lot. you can, take that as I'm shoulding on myself. I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. I shouldn't have, trouble or challenge or issue with this, that, or the other thing. And I think those are very unhealthy misconceptions that are assigned to mothers and new parents, that I should have this figured out. And why should you? Because you're doing this for the first time, or even if you're doing it for the second or third time, babies are different. Every baby is different. So you shouldn't have to navigate it on your own. You shouldn't have to have all the answers. So if you're struggling 6 months, 8 months, a year postpartum, there's still plenty of cause and reason to reach out. The diagnosis, formally, or how the provider might offer it might look different, but absolutely, to answer that question, you can still have symptoms uptick and challenges after a specific timeline.
Got it. Well, very interesting, and thank you for your input and letting us know. And let me ask you another question. You spend your whole life holding spaces, for other, helping tons of women. Do you do men's also?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do see men as well.
Okay. So at that moment, in your own story, what really pushed you to create Summertime Therapy? By the way, I love the name. Very unique.
Thanks. It's a play on my name. Well, how much time do we have? Because I can go all the way back here to my long-winded story, which is a question I've always loved through grad school, and just in general, a lot of people ask, why do you want to be a therapist? So Summertime Therapy was born. It's going to turn 3 in January. My business of my private practice, being on my own, was created and founded in 2023. So it will turn 3 right when my son is born. Okay. So we'll be celebrating 2 birthdays. But prior to having my own private practice, I'm going to go pretty far back here of kind of what initially drew me to wanting to become a therapist, and why I wanted to sit with somebody in this in their usually darkest and most challenging moments. And I think that goes all the way back to when I was in high school. I went to a Catholic high school. I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 12th grade. So there was always an emphasis on service and volunteerism. And even my high school's catchphrase was about referencing like a call to serve. So I've always really felt that deeply in my soul, that I wanted to be of service to other people in a way that was helpful and that I could make an impact. So when I was 14 and 15, I was a little bit more limited than I am now as an adult, but I did a lot of volunteering. In my school, there was a large push for implementation of like service projects or service classes, or I grew up in San Francisco, so there's need everywhere, but lots of need in downtown SF for soup kitchens, and just there's a lot of need there. So that kind of started my early experience in like being of service, wanting to help others. And then when I got to college, that developed a little bit further and a little bit more defined. So I had more leadership roles. I had a job where on campus, but I worked for an organization on campus, like a nonprofit service agency called JUMP, Join Us Making Progress at Sonoma State. Go Seawolves. And that's where I met Adam, my husband. And that's a different story for a different day. But I got very invested in service in college as well. And I had a brief stint where I thought I wanted to be a journalist or use an English major to propel my career forward. And that was very short-lived. Circled back, found my way to sociology. I knew I wanted to go to grad school and turn that passion, that interest, that desire to be of service into a full-fledged career. So the options there are many ways you can be of service. There are many ways you can help people and make a difference. And I just felt that therapy and being in the room with somebody, even though I knew very little about it 13 years ago, was where my fit was going to be. So I went to grad school, and since grad school and my practicum, I've had a lot of different jobs. I've worked with kids. I've worked with kids in schools. I've worked in community mental health, intensive outpatient, partial hospitalization with eating disorders, worked in substance abuse, residential treatment centers. So pretty wide variety of experience as a therapist. And the last couple of years now with summertime therapy, I've had a lot more autonomy and opportunity to like carve out my own lane. So I'm fully in control. I'm a one-woman show. It's just me, which works for now. But in the future, I'd like for that to expand and to be able to have what are called like registered associates, therapists in training, which was what I was just several years ago. So the perinatal mental health sector of summertime therapy also was formed in the last couple of years, like more so out of necessity. I only just became pregnant 6 months ago. So my personal experience didn't really start to inform it before my my experience with clients did. So my clients that I'd been working with for a long time, they started to have new life transitions and were either becoming pregnant intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, unplanned. I started to see some themes in infertility and some IVF processes. And I didn't know much about that at the time. So I was sourcing my own literature and research and skills and tools and just trying to learn on behalf of my clients. And that's kind of how I started to realize there's a really great need for this. And I ended up doing a training through Postpartum Support International. They've got lots of resources, and I'll send you links. You can put it somewhere in this bio or something. So I got certified in perinatal mental health through their organization. And ever since that, in the last 2 years, I've been able to like market myself more as a perinatal mental health therapist. And this is a category and a specialty that I know a little bit about. I don't know everything, but there's such a need for it. I have received an influx of consultation requests, new moms in postpartum reaching out, postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, as I was mentioning. There's moms really struggle in the early days, but also, as the years go on as well. So I've just really been able to see there's such an enormous need for it. And I have found a way to carve out my own little sector of that with summertime therapy.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thanks. I'll take a breath now. That's my long-winded answer to that one.
You need to breathe for a minute? Okay. So when women come to you, what do you notice that they're really searching for? Like peace, identity, permission to breathe again. What can I say? Like, in my case, we were talking to Kimberly earlier, like, due to the daily basis complications of what parenting it's all about, my husband wanted it to run away, basically, file for divorce. And, and we have to I truly believe in therapy. Therapy saved my marriage. And not because we had a horrible marriage, is because our focus became on our son that had some bits and pieces of special needs and some challenges. And, when we focus on him for 2 years, we stopped nurturing our relationship. And one day, he felt lost and decided to file for divorce because he thought that was basically, the best solution at that time. And for us, I will always say it, I am a true believer as a single woman, now that I'm married, double believer of therapy is such a blessing. And, because we don't know it all. And I believe that when we don't know it all, we have to go and look for help to those who are professional in that subject. So what do you think is the subject that women search the most at your practice?
So all of the above, I think all the things that you listed, but I also just quickly want to say I'm so glad to hear you say such positive things about therapy. I think there's kind of a divisive narrative sometimes around therapy in two camps of one being your camp, and I'm in that camp as well. I think it can be very beneficial. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but very helpful to have an outside party be able to help you sometimes see things that maybe you are not able to see, or to offer you an expertise or a background or a knowledge system that you don't have all the answers to, because we're not expected to have all the answers. But I think there's another camp sometimes of people that are very anti-therapy. And I have heard many times, whether it's be from my own clients or just over the years, family members, friends of clients that say, why would I go tell somebody else all my problems? Like, I'll just figure it out on my own. But that's fine. Not everybody needs to go to therapy, but oftentimes we see people in therapy that are there because the people in their life won't go to therapy. Yeah. So I just really appreciate you saying that, and you sharing your own positive experience. I currently have my own therapist, and I have for many years through grad school. That was also, I didn't mention in my origin story of becoming a therapist, but one of the first therapists I ever had when I was like 14 years old taught me some skills that I then learned about in grad school or through my own, learning expertise and research. And those are skills that I implement and carry and practice with my clients now. So just good, always good to hear positive feedback about therapy. But why or what I see or why people come to therapy, I think all of the above, as I mentioned. New moms or just new clients, like seeking that peace, seeking an opportunity for 1 hour a week, uninterrupted. And it's not always uninterrupted. I'll also say that because babies are always welcome in my sessions. I am a fully virtual private practice, which is convenient since the age of COVID, but especially for new moms, it's a lot easier to just put your phone down wherever you are, your laptop down, and not have to load up your baby and find childcare and get in the car and drive and find parking and then pay for it and come up to my office. So sometimes babies do join the sessions, but not always. And I think it's that they're seeking, 1 hour of support. It's a time where it is fully about them. So we start and we do our, pleasantries. And recently I've been updating a lot of my clients that I'm pregnant. So that's a life update I'm sharing. But beyond the pleasantries of, how are you and how are things, the whole hour is about them. So whatever has happened in the past week, sometimes it's postpartum and baby related. Other times it's not. Sometimes it has to do with their relationship with a parent, their own parent, or in-laws. Sometimes it has to do with what's happening in the world right now. And we certainly spend time on that. And I hold space for that to be, I don't have all the answers either, obviously, but it's offering clients or specifically, as we're talking about moms and parents, just a space that is fully for them. And then I'm going to follow their lead. So I want to share just a little piece about my kind of approach in therapy. And this is, of course, this is what I say to every new client. It's kind of like my motto. Whenever I meet with a client for the first time and I'm trying to give them as much as I can early on, I give them my formula. And that is that my formula is 80% compassion and validation, 20% gentle challenge. So what I mean by that is my virtual room, my office, our therapeutic relationship and space is always a place for you to cry, to vent, to share, to be angry, to sit quietly sometimes if you need to. Anything that you might need, that's what that space is for. 80% of the time. 20% of the time, and it fluctuates, it's not hard and fast numbers. It's an art, not a science.
Yes.
But 20% of the time, I'm going to push back. I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to interject. I'm not so much of the therapy mind or state that I'm like a blank slate and I'm just kind of going to look at you and nod my head for 50 minutes or an hour. I'm going to interject, and that works for some people and it doesn't for others. But I find that once we have a good rapport going and I've been working with somebody for long enough, or even just initially, we can sometimes build that rapport pretty quickly. I'm able to then kind of share what I'm observing. So sometimes a parent, mom, new client might come in and, they're telling a story or sharing something about, I don't know, I'm speaking generally. It's all HIPAA compliant, but these are general, topics that come up in therapy. Somebody's having a relationship issue with their partner and they're telling me the story. Well, I'm hearing it only from their perspective, of course, but I'm an objective person in this moment. So I can offer a piece of insight or feedback. And I oftentimes do hear from clients, oh, thank you for saying that, or I didn't think about it that way, or I appreciate you pointing that out, because just because somebody is in therapy doesn't also mean they are always right, or they are always like having the correct response to something. So it's an opportunity for them to learn also, if that is what they are seeking. As I just shared that formula with you, sometimes I give people that formula in my consultation and then I never hear from them again. So maybe they're not looking
It
to
happens.
be. It does. It certainly does. And maybe they're not looking to be gentle challenged, or they're not looking to be pushed. They want a space where they can come and vent, and they are completely entitled to that. And maybe I'm just not the right therapist for that person, because I see our time together as an opportunity to give you something back too. We're not like buddies just venting to each other. That's what you have friends for. You like go
Exactly.
and your friends say, like, you're so right? Like you, he, she, they, them, whoever should not have said that. You're in the right. But I'm going to hear that same story and I'm going to say, well, did we think about what they might have meant about this? Or did you think about when, with your children that are then older and we're trying to teach them skills, when you were snapping at them or raising your voice, or you were in a hurry, maybe that's why then they, felt upset. Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. And now how can we work on transforming that into a skill set that's going to help you be more effective with your children, or build your relationship back with your partner, or reestablish, connection with your girlfriend who maybe you fell off talking to for 6 months in the
Or
postpartum.
give them tools so they can move forward.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm very big on tools and skills. Something to take away from the session.
Well, that's incredible. You do a lot.
I do my best. I do what I can with the knowledge base and skills that I have.
You do a lot. So let's talk a little bit about motherhood.
Okay.
And that motherhood, and I think I can apply this for me.
Yeah.
Has a way of breaking us open. What does it take for a woman to start finding herself again after feeling lost in that storm? And I can, after you answer, I can share a little bit about me, but I feel very identified with this.
Mm-hmm. I love that phrasing. Also, breaking us open, or breaking wide open.
Yeah.
I have now mentioned it a few times. I'm 6 months pregnant, so my baby is not outside my body quite yet, but I can definitely personally relate to that. And I think professionally also, I've heard like different phrasings of that nature just in working with moms and postpartum. So I just really love that, I like the way that you phrase that. What does it take to reestablish that sense of self, how to find yourself in the storm, how to come back to like who you were maybe pre-baby? I think there's probably a melding of that question and the answer that, and maybe any other mom listening can speak to this, who you were before is probably not who you're going to be after, but some new version of yourself, a new version that you hadn't met before, and that you are still
trying to figure it out.
Exactly that.
Because, I always said too, when I am training moms or coaching them more so, I always said, we are not born with a manual under our arm. I said, this is an experience that we do on a daily basis, and every day bring its own challenge. And, being single is completely different as soon as you become a mother. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, it's this whole new version of this person yourself that you're trying to become reacclimated with. And I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, nor is there a one-track path to reestablishing that sense of self. But I think it just has to be authentic. So it just has to look like you. It has to feel like you. Just an example of this, which maybe this is not going to apply to everyone. It doesn't even apply to me, but I think it kind of captures this idea we're talking about. If you were somebody prior to having any children and you love to bake, you're just, Susie homemaker, or, always known in the neighborhood or in your friend group for baking, and you make things from scratch and everybody loves your baked goods. And now you have a baby, or maybe you have a toddler, or at whatever age or stage you are with your children. Now you really don't have as much time to bake anymore, right? It's the shopping. We have to think about all the tasks that go into that hobby, that interest or passion. You have to do the shopping. You have to get yourself out of the house, or even if you're Instacarting it, right? It's the time spent putting everything in the cart, getting it all. Okay, now you have to be in the kitchen, and your child or children are left can't be left maybe at this stage unattended. So maybe you don't have the time, the energy, the motivation to do that in a way that you once did. So how can we adapt that so that we're not so disconnected from this part of yourself that was so important? Can you get your partner to pick up some pre-cut cookies on the way home, maybe, or that Instacart order might be a lot easier if it's just one item, or something that's going to take a lot less time. And can you throw those cookies in the oven and FaceTime a girlfriend and talk about your day, or reconnect with that part of your identity so it doesn't feel so lost, but it's also not this seeking perfectionism or trying to do it the way that you once did it, because there might be a need for some acceptance around that part of you, not necessarily being lost, but changing, shifting, and having to adapt now. So maybe at some point in time, you'll go back to buying all the ingredients and making it from scratch. But right now, can you just do the pre-cut cookies and be okay with that and use that as a way to reconnect with that part of yourself, rather than this kind of all or nothing?
Demanding.
Yes.
So much. And I truly can relate to that, is the word. And you said one word or phrase, perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can ask Mark. Like, before I had Asher, literally my house had to look like a Pottery Barn store.
Like nobody lived there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Like nobody. Like, I was so freaking OCD when it came to the cleaning. I am super clean person. I love my house to smell like Clorox. Sounds awful, but it needs to smell clean when you walk in.
Okay.
And before, like, I had Asher, literally that was my thing. I wanted my house to be perfect. A Pottery Barn, a store that you walk in and everything was in place and no one was living in. Mm-hmm. Literally, having Asher has got me out of my comfort zone. And I'm not telling you the first year, the second year, I think I came to realize that the heck with the mess. Mm-hmm. Not with the cleaning, of course. My house has to be clean. I vacuum, I mop. And those who know me knows this is the truth. Mm-hmm. I do the cleaning of my house every single day. Mm-hmm. And I do have someone who helps me twice a month. Mm-hmm. And God bless Juanita.
Thank you, Juanita.
Yes. Thank you, mi Juanis. I would not live without her. But I could not let it go. My husband has to taught me that. Mm-hmm. And I have to give credit who credit deserves. Mm-hmm. My boss, Kelly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For her, their priority, one of the things that ministered the most was when her girls were 6-7 months, her twins. Mm-hmm. She literally took away her living room and make it her playroom.
Oh,
I was to the roof, like, what are you doing? Oh, this is amazing. But like in my house, I will never picture how to do that because I was so perfectionist because of my mom. Mm-hmm. That's how she had her house when I was growing up, that I could not give myself a break to enjoy the mess, seeing Asher coming here, going there, because everything has to be perfect. So Asher was making a mess. I was behind him fixing it. And I got into a point that I realized that that wasn't healthy for me. Like, it was damaging, not my relationship with my son because he was too little to realize what I was doing, but just like, this is not healthy for me. Mm-hmm. You know what? The heck of a mess. I have a toddler.
Right.
You know, this is a happy house. Absolutely. And now it's like, the heck with it.
Yeah.
You know, if my house is not perfect, it does have to be clean. But if it's not perfect, if I have toys all over, if he wants to make fortress, he does. Sometimes, you know, he has literally a Hot Wheels city. So we have Hot Wheels everywhere. And, you know, there's one condition. When you're done playing, even though if you're done playing in 3 days, we have to clean up.
Yeah.
And that eats me up so much. And I have to learn how to give myself some grace because it is more important for me. And I have realized that having him, that it is more important for me, the happiness and the quality time I'm having with my son than to have a perfect house.
I agree completely.
And I stopped demanding so much of myself. And my husband, leave it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And that's how I have become. And I am so much happier and freer of that controlling of the perfect house.
Yep. So there's that melding of those two selves, right? So who you
Yes.
were before, Pottery Barn catalog, who you are now. I've been in your house actually, and it does still look like Pottery Barn catalog. Everything is beautifully done, but look at that blending of the concept of being able to let it go, right? And in the moment, maybe that was very hard to hear and probably took you, it sounds like a little bit of time, maybe a couple of years.
And I have great examples. You know, my boss was one of them.
Yep.
And I am very thankful for that because I realized that, you know, Asher is going to be 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 once.
Yeah.
And just enjoying that moment.
Yeah.
It was more important for me than to have a perfect house. Listen, I don't know who told me this, or I think I told that to myself. When he's 18, I will have back my 18, you know, my Potter Barn house. In the meantime, I am going to enjoy every single thing of it with him in it without putting so much demand and stress into myself that the only thing I am causing to myself is damaging my mental health.
Right. Exactly. So I think that's, as you were mentioning, that's an important thing to consider. What am I losing? What are the risks of me? Think about yourself at that point in time too, following a 2-year-old around and trying to sweep up every little crumb or every little mess that he was making. Well, did that make you feel better in the moment?
No. Stress.
Yeah.
Picking up every 3 seconds.
Yeah. Because kids make a lot of messes.
Yep.
Right. And that's normal. And we expect them to.
Get ready, girl.
Right.
Because your house looks like a party farm right now.
For now.
For now. Get ready.
Well, I really love the idea also of just a house that is lived in, right? Like it looks beautiful to photograph, to not have like any Hot Wheels or any crumbs or any toys, but that's not a house that people live in. That's not a house that people love in, and that they spend their time in, and that they, play pinball machines or whatever cool little toys Asher's
Well,
getting.
I do know who's going to inherit the 4 little container of Hot Wheels that I have in my house. Baby Loria.
He's gonna like
Get
Hot
ready.
Wheels.
Get ready.
I can already sense it. He's giving me a kick of approval.
But, this is another story because, how couples, and I'm going to say this to go to the next question, is how we are different as human beings between men and a woman. I am Latino and I am loud. And my husband always is telling me, stop screaming. And my answer to him is, I am not screaming. I am loud. And guess what? Asher is exactly like his mama. So loud, screams all the time, if you can call that scream. And I was focused like in the order, having the Pottery Barn house, and he focuses on the lower your voice, stop screaming, talk, don't be so loud. I said, we can spend time in those little insignificant moments of the disorder or stop being so loud, and that takes so much out of our energy or mental health, little things like that. And I used to have arguments. Mar, can you please stop telling me that I am loud? We used to spend a lot of time just in that little argument. Said, I am not screaming, I am loud. 2 different things. I am
Latin
Latino.
passion, right?
There you go. Now he calls me spicy Latina.
There you go.
He does. So now he calls me spicy Latina. So Summer. So with that being said, just tell me, like, for the mom who feels like she's failing as a partner, as a parent, or as a partner, what truth do you want her to hold, like, right now? Because sometimes we feel like we are failing if things are not the way we're supposed to be. If like, in my case, like, the way we are brought up with our cultural values, careers or anything, sometimes we can feel like if we're focusing on the baby, we can be failing at something else, but because we need some redirection when we're feeling like that. How do you do it or help women hold onto that?
Such a good question also. And I'm sure a question and a thought that resonates with a lot of new moms and new parents. And the first thing I want to say to that is, if you are even whoever you are listening, if you are even thinking that thought, the answer is already so clear to me. You're already doing more than enough. If your thought or your concern is, I'm not doing enough. If you are worried about failing, whether it is your child, your partner, your whoever is in your life, your job, I'm not doing enough at work, you probably are. So I want to emphasize that the opposite is probably true, because if you're somebody who is even considering focused, thinking about that concept or that idea, I'm not doing enough, you're probably doing more than enough, and you're probably seeking that perfectionism. You're reaching for 110% when 100% or sometimes even 90 or sometimes 75 might just be good enough. And this is a concept I talk with clients, not just even new moms, but or new parents about, is the concept of good enough. So good enough in whatever your role is. So I'm going to use the example specifically in parenting. If your child's basic needs are met, they are fed, they're warm, they have a roof over their head, they're wearing appropriate clothes that fit them, basic needs, right? They're hydrated depending on how old they are. No water before 6 months. I've learned that is a new baby fact that I had to become familiar with. If their basic needs are met and then some, you have care, you have concern, you're worried about their well-being, their mental health, you're doing enough. And that is very much worth pointing out and giving yourself a little pat on the back for. Easier said than done. Also, I recognize that, it has to go beyond words sometimes and things that we say to ourselves, but I want that to kind of be an emphasized point that is important to come back to. If you're somebody, whoever you are, thinking about or even concerned about your partner, yourself, your person's child, whoever, well-being and what they need, then that tells me you're focused on their well-being and their need, and you want to ensure that they have everything that they need, and you're doing what you can to ensure that happens, hopefully without burning yourself out and taking too much from your own cup before it gets refilled.
We need a village.
Right. Absolutely.
We need a village. So how do we raise emotionally healthy kids when we're still healing part of ourselves? And me, as a person that deals with kids on a daily basis and has been for the last 16 years of my life, that is something that I encounter every single day. So what would be like a good advice or tips that you can give the audience when it comes to raising healthy emotionally kids? Yes.
So another good question. So many good questions. For this particular topic and in this question, the answer is in the question. So if you are somebody, you are an adult, you are a parent, you are a person working on raising or wanting to raise an emotionally healthy child, and you are doing the work, you're working to better yourself, you're working to heal childhood trauma, you're working to learn better skills and how to emotionally regulate, you're going to be raising emotionally healthy children, because that tells me you are actively working on that process yourself. You're trying to learn, you're trying to be better, you're trying to improve. And a lot of times it's that we're trying to undo patterns that we learned in early childhood. A lot of times, I see many adults, whether they're parents or not, who don't have a lot of like skills in emotional regulation or distress tolerance. So that means a situation is distressing and I'm gonna like flip my lid. Like think about your brain kind of just combusting. That can create a lot of challenges when you become a parent, because you now have this toddler, infant, baby, young adult child that you're trying to model for them. Okay, when something is bothersome to me, I get angry, because we're all going to get angry. It's inevitable. We don't need to work on never being angry or never being upset and show your child a blank slate and be a robot. We need to show them how I respond to that emotion when I feel it. So if you are somebody who is we're doing the work on yourself, that doesn't always mean therapy, but let's say like being in therapy, you find some other healthy outlet. You swim, you do yoga, you take a hike with your friend, you practice meditation, you use some kind of like physical grounding tool like a fidget or those squeeze balls that help us release some energy. If you are doing that work, you inevitably will be raising a healthy child, because you are teaching them in that moment. Not only is it okay to have an emotion and you are allowed to be angry, you're allowed to feel frustrated. When I inevitably have that emotion, this is what I do with it. I don't break things, I don't scream, I don't yell. And maybe even as I'm saying this is resonating with people in their own experiences in childhood. If that's what you grew up seeing, it was a house that was loud, not in the Latin passion way that's lovable and fun, but loud in the way that...
there you go. Mark needs to hear that. Lovable and fun.
Love it. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's not, of course, everyone's experience in their household. And some households are loud and scary, and parents or grandparents or caregivers, whoever's in the home, that's all they knew of how to discipline or how to punish or how to get their point across. So we want to avoid that as best as we can. It doesn't mean it's never going to happen, but we want to find skills and abilities and communication, like to be able to, as parents, as caregivers, you're upset about your day, something bothers you, went wrong. How are you going to communicate that to your partner while your child's watching without flipping your lid, without spontaneously combusting, screaming, breaking things, and having an adult temper tantrum? So if we don't want our kids, kids are going to have tantrums. It's a normal developmental part of behavior early on. But as an adult, it's not as expected that we're going to have temper tantrums. So we need to work on tapering that down so we can model healthy skills for our kids. So then that's what they see, that's what they learn, and that's what we are teaching them.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, I think will be like last question. I don't know if you have questions before we start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Then let me know if you have any. I don't know. Do you have any questions?
I do. Yeah. I think you have such a valuable experience as a mom, and I'm, so early on in this journey, I have my like clinical background and everything, but that doesn't encompass everything. But you have the experience also clinically in your work too, but of being a mom and a parent. What is something that really surprised you in early motherhood, or in motherhood in general? I don't even have to specify. How about just in motherhood, something you found surprising?
The connection.
Oh.
Believe it or not, I feel that not every mom that gives birth right away is connected with their child.
That
true. That doesn't mean they don't love the child, but the connection, and I have seen it with so many moms, I have seen it that the connection doesn't start right away.
That's true.
It takes a minute, it takes a day, or it takes a few days. And for some, I can say that I had a client years ago, I believe 7 or 8 years ago, that when someone referred her to me, one of her most critical thinking was, I don't feel connected with my daughter and she's 4 months old. And that, and I am sure she's going to listen to this episode. And I will always put her as an example, because my answer said, that doesn't mean, I said, it could be your hormones. Sometimes the connection doesn't start right away, but that doesn't mean you care for your daughter, you don't provide for your daughter, you don't love your daughter. It's a lot of facts of giving birth that can start either right away or it takes a few days, and it is okay. And I see in a lot of clients that I have had that they have so much guilt and shame over that. So all I can say to the moms that if it happens to you, first of all, speak it out. Second, it's okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean you don't love your child. You know, it will come as the days go by.
Yeah, I would agree completely. And when you asked earlier, you know, what are some of the signs or symptoms or reasons to reach out? That's one of them too. You know, it does happen. Not every mother feels that, or every new parent right away, that overwhelming sense, you know, especially sometimes dads too. It takes a little bit longer to bridge that connection. But I think that's a great time to reach out for help too, because how can we also, it doesn't need to be this overwhelming heart burst open sense of joy and excitement, but okay, then how with support can we bridge that gap? So the difference of not feeling bonded or connected is very different from child endangerment or child neglect. You know, if you're still meeting all your child's needs, but maybe you know, just don't feel that thing that you see on the internet or what your friends are talking about, that's okay. Are you still caring for your child? You still have love for your child. You still want to nurture them or care for them, but maybe you're not feeling that bond or that connection. That's okay. There's, you know, support. There's groups, there's, you know, other moms. I agree with you completely. There's a lot of shame based in that. Moms are not talking about it. That doesn't mean that they're not experiencing it.
And there's a lot of factors because the hormones, you know, you are developing, you know, your hormones, milk, and, you know, so many factors that, you know, you do not have to feel shame. Yeah. And we go back to what we were talking about. Sometimes we demand so much of ourselves that not even our husbands are, you know, it's just, but we are that force of nature that we are unstoppable, because I truly believe mothers are unstoppable, that we demand so much of ourselves until the point that we are so exhausted that we become, you know, our mental health gets so affected due to our own demands, not somebody else's, our own demands. So with that being said, Summer, do you have any other question before anything that, of course, I know it's not going to be our first podcast. I know Summer Therapy is going to be plugged into the parenting experience. You know, we're going to do so many good things together to help our community. And, but do you have any other questions?
Well, I know I've shared a lot kind of about my just experience working with a wide variety of moms and new parents, and things that I think or have read or have heard would be helpful. What was actually something helpful for you in first having Asher home and learning his sleep, eating patterns, just being the transition from just you and Mark to Asher? What was one thing that was actually really helpful for you? And even if it was super small, like you washed your hair every other day or something, like,
believe it or not, well, Asher has a very peculiar history, and we don't want to like spoil it, but also don't want to like, you know, hide it. I wasn't able to give birth Asher. Asher is adopted, and you know, he is my pride and joy. Both of my kids are, and I feel very blessed. I didn't have the opportunity like you, like feeling my baby in the womb, giving birth, you know, go to the hospital. I went to the hospital to receive him, but I didn't had that, you know, giving birth experience. With that being said, one of the things that was very remarkable for me, believe it or not, was the village I had with me. My son, my husband, my daughter. You know, my daughter has two moms. So the other mom, yeah, that's very cute, right? You know, so the two moms that my daughter has, so which is my sister-in-law. So my mom. So I truly had a village helping with Asher while I was between my work and my home. And that makes such a difference because when I needed it to sleep due to a sleepless night, my mom was there, my daughter was there, my sister-in-law was there, my husband was there, and vice versa. When they needed to sleep, I was there. We created, for the first 3 months, we created such a little village to make sure we all were okay, like not sleep deprived, not overwork, because we both were working, Mark, myself, and life continues.
Right.
And my sister-in-law came from Colombia, my mom came from Miami, and we, like, my best friend, when Asher was 6, 7, 8 months, 2 of my best friends flew to Michigan just to be 3 weeks with Asher and help.
Wow.
So my little village kept my sanity, believe it or not.
I believe it.
And, the support of my boss as well, making sure I had plenty of time with my son and vice versa with my family. It was a little village that, kept my sanity. So if you're asking me at the beginning, any advice, receive all the help you can. That doesn't make you, Summer, less mother of baby Loria. Like, your sanity counts. You need to sleep, somebody can feed the baby. If you are tired, Adam can rub your feet. So you call me. We are a knock away. We are a knock away. But accepting help is the key of the beginning of giving birth a child and your sanity.
Yeah.
Honestly, before anything else. Because your child will be sleeping and eating. And someone can take care of them while you take care of yourself, because your hormones are gonna go to the roof all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's important for any new parent to hear too, because not every baby enters their new home and their new life vaginally or through cesarean section with that parent. So adoption and all other forms of how babies come to meet their families and their homes are had and are welcomed. So I think that's very important. You still needed your village and you still needed sleep, and it was a major transition and adjustment. And I think every new mom needs to hear that too, about the importance of accepting help and letting others be there to support you too. So you don't have to do it alone, and you're not alone. And even if we're not also lucky as to have a village, I love that you have your mom and sister-in-law and all of those support systems. And of course, I'm aware not everybody has that kind of familial support, but our villages also don't always look like family, right? Sometimes it is the best friends that are able to make their way there, or the neighbor, or professional support and help. And
someone who cooks, someone who cleans. It takes a village.
Yeah.
It truly does take a village.
Agreed. Whatever it looks like for you, the general person out there, we need our village and we need that support. Agreed.
Yes, perfect. Well, Summer, we're going to start wrapping things up, but I just wanted to say thank you. We're going to give the audience all your summer therapy information so they can reach out and know that, one of the goals of the parenting experience, it is this, creating a community that they can trust. And I am saying this as my personal testimony. When I came to LA, I found people that unfortunately either weren't the right match for what my son needed it, or literally careless people that we couldn't find the right support for what Asher needed. And I will go there in another show, but one of the things I appreciate you the most to be here is because I know who you are. I know what summer therapy is, the blessing that is to many mothers out there all over the United States, and that's what we need. Trustworthy people that have a heart and a passion to help others. And you said it from the beginning, since you were, in college, you had that heart of serving others. And this is why I think God connected us, because I have the same heart. And we need our little community, our little village to be able to raise the next generation. And I truly appreciate you being here. Sharing all your expertise with the audience, and at a very early age when the parenting experience is,
It's in its inception.
in its beginning.
Yeah. It's a
at the
baby. Yeah.
Exactly. A baby.
Yeah.
You said the word. So I truly appreciate it. And we're going to give all the audience all your information so they can reach out if they need. Just remember, people, she's giving birth in January. So she's going to take 3 months, but she will be there responding for everybody, whoever. But
Probably 6, but I'll check my emails from time to time.
Exactly.
Still.
So we truly appreciate, and I think you brought like a PDFs or something that we're gonna try to give to the audience some
Okay, great.
information of
Yeah.
perinatal.
Yeah,
right?
just a fact sheet that is from the Postpartum Support
Exactly,
International.
very helpful for
Okay, good.
postpartum moms.
Okay.
So I truly appreciate it.
Well, wait, I just quickly want to say thank you for having me. What an honor to be asked here to sit with you and have a conversation. And I was not even nervous the whole way through, just initially at the beginning. It's like having a regular conversation with you. And I'm so honored that you thought of me and wanted to hear my experience in perinatal mental health, and hopefully some takeaways to somebody listening. Something is helpful.
We'll bring you back with baby Loria after your maternity leave.
Okay.
And with that being said, thank you for giving us the permission to be human.
Absolutely,
which
always.
is something that we sometimes lack. We think we have to be perfect instead of being humans. And for reminding us that motherhood doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty, compassion, and community. To every mom listening, I hope this episode reminds you that you are not broken. You are becoming. You do not have to do this alone. Ask for help. That is so important. Breathe deeply. Remember, healing your heart is one of the most powerful gifts you can give to your children. I am a truly testimony about that. I am such a true believer of therapy. So thank you for being a part of the parenting experience. Until next time, be kind to yourself, nurture your soul, and know what rest is holy. I love you, Summer.
I love you.
And
Thank you.
I promise my audience, baby Loria will be here, when it's the perfect time. Bye, my beautiful people. Until the next time. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of The Parenting Experience. You can write in and ask your questions on our show's Instagram page at The Parenting Experience, and we will address your questions on an upcoming episode. If this episode helped you, we would love for you to share this episode with your partner, your sister, brother, and extended friends and family. Share the knowledge and support we are giving to you. Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we will greatly appreciate it.